Richard Weil, and I'm the principal and owner of National Restaurant Consultants. And we welcome you in to the NRC Helpful Moment number 212. And we, of course, always have the wonderful and amazing Brian Devine from CafeFuel and Top Line Management. Hello, Brian. How are you today?
I am terrific. Thank you, Richard. How about yourself?
Doing well, doing well. So today was in a meeting today, and it was near TV feeds and looking at the Weather Channel, and all day long it was talking about severe weather. And we're in Denver today, and right now at 3:30 Mountain Time, Denver's under a tornado warning in parts of the city and a tornado watch throughout a big metro area. And last night in the Colorado market, along with many other markets, they had golf ball size hail. They had all kinds of torrential, difficult weather. It's that time of the year. It's severe weather season. What do you do? How do you plan for the emergency? How do you plan for the emergency? And the emergency in the food service and hospitality industry is not just about weather, but it's also about somebody slipping, falling, choking. Uh, Even could be worse, right? We could be burglar, could be all kinds of horrible things. How do you plan for the emergency? And the answer is preparedness. Preparedness is, what do you do if certain scenarios, and to work that with your staff and your key management team. What do we do in case of a weather emergency? What do we do in case of something that's worse, a holdup, or even, unfortunately, some of the horrible things you think about? What do you do if? How do you handle it? What do you do if? Who's calling 911? Who's taking care of the guests, the staff? Safety is always the number one thing. Safety, life, health, safety, always the priority. Nobody wants a hero. So what do we do with in the emergency situation? Well, emergencies aren't just weather or situations like that. Emergencies could be people calling out. It could be, as I said, slips and falls, choking. Preparedness is really a key component for food service and hospitality operators. We are hospitality. We're hosts. We need to be prepared in case a guest is choking. Are you doing proper things with either Red Cross first aid training? What are we doing to make sure our staff understand? Who do you get? Is somebody on staff that can do a Heimlich maneuver? Do we know? Have we trained? Are we thinking about those things? Because when you're trained and when you're prepared and when you're planning, most likely you're never going to use this preparedness. You're not going to use it. But it's when you're not prepared and you're not planned and you're not successful in communicating with your team and your staff, that's when panic sets in and worse things can happen. Worse things can happen. So preparedness is also a big part of marketing. Big part of marketing. That includes disclaimers on offers, on promotions, never picking a fight with a customer. If customer believes that they're entitled to a marketing or promotion, if it's a deep promotion, then you got to work your way through it. But preparedness is inclusive of marketing. So that's my segue over to Brian today. Being prepared in terms of marketing. Brian?
Absolutely. Thanks for that, Richard. And you know what made my brain went to if you have an emergency in your marketing, it's usually something that is going wrong that you're not even aware of. And that is actually an emergency to the point where you have technology doing things for you. Technology breaks. Sometimes things go wrong. And it's funny that we were talking about this today because just in the last week or so, we've implemented some new things where we install a piece of software that we don't need, but it tracks errors. And if we're like, you know what, these numbers don't look right, well, we'll be able to go right into the software and we'll see where something broke. And in fact, the software will even shoot us an email and say, you have an error. and we can then go and problem solve. So that way the emergency doesn't last for months. You'd be amazed at how many times we've seen this where somebody said, "Oh, I've got all that in place." And then we go to look at it. None of it was active. The person thought that it was. So when you think that something might not be working in your marketing, it could just be that something broke, and that that can happen. And it could be as simple as you have a tech person that went into your domain, made a minor change, and broke everything. and we actually we're looking at something like that today, where we made sure that the changes we had to make inside of a domain couldn't possibly affect anything else going on inside that domain. And we go out of our way to make sure that stuff happens. So that's the emergency kind of thing that popped into my head, which is things break, things go wrong. And if you've got a way to backtrack it, or at the very least, you put something in place where once a week you just check that it's working. Run through your own marketing once in a while and see if it's set up properly. And you might, after you've looked at it a million times, you miss things. And it's always good to kind of go back and take another look and go, "Oh, wow, you know what? That's spelled wrong." And we run into that all the time. Or, gosh, that still says 2022 instead of 23. So you can fix it. But that's the kind of stuff that I think about when it comes to emergencies in your marketing. And just having a plan, just like what Richard said, is key so that you don't run into anything too terrible. But even doing something a little bit extra to make sure that you're notified when something isn't working quite right so that you can fix it. Because, hey, technology is great when it works, but it doesn't always work. Sometimes things go wrong, and it's really helpful to be able to track down what went wrong, where, how, and then you can just fix it. So that's what I'm doing.
It's a great point. And what to do if? What to do if? I mean, that also includes read your marketing materials before you hit send, before you hit active. Read them like you are a customer in the eyes and the brains of your customers. And then more importantly, make sure your serving staff, your hosts, the people that are front facing, guest facing people understand what you've got out there in terms of marketing, because communications and awareness, what to do if a guest does this or if this happens, but how to make sure we're prepared. Preparedness is everything. And that's really what the NRC Helpful Moment number 212 was about today. How do we become better prepared? So that's what we have for today. I'm going to get out of where I'm parked right now, because I'll tell you what, it looks pretty dark out here. I'm going to try and get head for the hills here. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. So long for now. Bye.
Bye, everybody.